the ground, don't get caught in the mosh pit. Fuel to the fire, ain't nobody can stop it. Trouble in my city, but you know I'm across it. Got a 40 on my hip and I'm liable to spark it. Throw down these hits, my click is indivisible. I aim, you duck, I squeeze, now you invisible. I'm not afraid of getting physical. All these different chemicals are fogging up my visuals. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we notorious, we ain't no runners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we some warriors, they ain't called gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Put on my sweat, put on the beat, put on the map, put on my team. Take out every motherfucker in between, know what I mean? Better myself, better my aim, better my rep, better my name. Killing rappers on my hang, I'm by their chains for the fame. Never thought I would, now I'm running. You don't wanna follow me, I'm out the in front of.
Yo, what's going on? What's going on? Good evening. Welcome to a new broadcast of Steve the Kidney Nurse. What's going on, guys? Share this broadcast. Share this broadcast. We have to give the kidney disease space, the online kidney disease space. We have to broadcast it to let the world know that there is a space that need to be recognized, a space where it's the 9th leading cause of death in the United States, and it's not being talked about. And before I bring my guests on, I'd like to ask everyone who's watching this show to take a moment of silence. Okay, a moment of silence. Just found out that kidney warrior Alexander Bryant passed away. I don't know when exactly he passed away, but he has passed away, and we can have a moment of silence. I'd like to send condolences to the family. I can't tell you, in my 37-year career working with patients with kidney failure, how many patients I've met, befriended in my career to only lose them to this disease. It has to be more than 1,000. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I traveled across the state, meeting different patients. They invite me to their home when I'm away from my home. On the holidays, they invite me into their house to spend the holidays with their family. I would never stop doing what I'm doing. So, with that being said, tonight we have an awesome show. This person has been on my show and supported me since day one on Facebook. She's on her birthday. She's put my organization, Urban Kidney Alliance, used it for her birthday to solicit donations. Not a lot of people donated, but just the thought of her doing that for me is very appreciative. Sent her and her son years ago when he was just a small lad, T-shirts that they wore to the kidney. Well, she's just been very supportive, and I've been very supportive of her since I seen her story. And, you know, her story, unfortunately, is like many kidney warriors that I run into working in kidney clinics in the inner city. Okay, I'm saying she's from the inner city, but I work with a lot of single Black moms that was on dialysis, and they was going through it. And so when I seen her story and saw what she was doing and continue to go to school after struggle continuing, I guess it's been 2 years, her anniversary. She'll tell you it finally hit her. She's been dealing with this like 14, 15 years. You know, most people would probably give up. But she did it, and at the end, it was well deserved. But make no mistakes, it wasn't an easy road. And it's probably still not, but she's doing what she got to do to live her best life. So without further ado, I want to bring on my guest, and I definitely got to give her the VIP welcome because she definitely deserves it. I told her so many times that I'm so proud of her. She even came up to Virginia one year and to share a birthday at the sugar factory. I can't think of the name of it, but she didn't know this, but that day I came to a party. A friend I was with, lady, she didn't want me to go. I was like, forget this. This is going to be the only time, you know, I'm going to go. So they didn't want to come. So I went. I wasn't going to miss this opportunity to meet Tamika for the first time. So without further ado, let me bring on. Hey, Tamika, what's going on?
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Man, I'm so happy. I'm getting goosebumps right now because, you know, like I said, when I first met you, you didn't know me from a can of paint. You just see me on Facebook advocating for kidney disease. Then I asked you to be on, you know, shows so I could interview you. Then that's where I got to learn a lot more about you, not just from your posts, because you was, you know, putting out some serious posts of your struggles and what you was going through, and still like showing up to the kidney walks and going to school and taking your son to do his activities and you know, being a mom and the dad, and a lot of times, and going through your personal struggles and just all the above. And for you to continue to fight is amazing. Just share with people how this journey started for you. And not to mention, before you start, congratulations on that piece that I guess was EC Connect, online media company did on you, of getting a new kidney and a new degree. So hats off to you. But how did this journey start for you, like so many other people?
Well, like so many other people, I was diagnosed with kidney disease. I want to say roughly 15 years ago. It was around 2004. I had never been sick before, so you know, getting diagnosed with kidney disease to me was something. It was something new. You know, they say normally it starts from high blood pressure or diabetes. I have neither. So when I found out, I was pretty young. It was hard to deal with. A couple years after I found out, I went into kidney failure, which resulted in me actually having to start dialysis. But before I started dialysis, I will say I did have a transplant. The first transplant was donated by my cousin, but due to surgeon's error, I lost that kidney, I want to say almost immediately. So once I lost that kidney, that's when my journey with dialysis began.
Wow, hold on. Let's stop right there, because you just said a handful in that sentence. How did you feel when you found out that it was a surgeon error that caused you to lose that kidney? And then your cousin, God bless her for stepping up to the plate. I know she must have felt bad as well. I mean, not sharing of anything. Were you able to be compensated for that?
No, I was not. Which That was the hardest part because it wasn't anything to my doing that I lost the kidney. Literally, when they went in, they did not tighten the main artery that connects to the kidney. So what happened was when I was released from the hospital, it broke apart from the kidney, and literally that's a life or death situation. So I literally just went to the hospital the next day for a follow up, and then I entered into the fight of my life at that point. It began to be something that I did not even know. They didn't even know if I was going to live because they didn't know what was wrong. So once they went in, they discovered, oh, we didn't tighten the main artery. So we're going to try to fix what we did. But because the kidney was without blood flow for so long, it died anyway. So I spent roughly 3 months in the hospital. I think I was in the hospital. I had that kidney transplant September the 30th, 2008. And on November the 1st, 2008, they were removing that kidney because it had died. Due to the surgeon's error.
Right. Is this one of the times where not this one, where that happened when you was in the hospital?
That actually, I was on dialysis then. I was already on dialysis at that point.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So continue. So the surgery, you got your kidney from your cousin, the transplant, and then that failed because of human error. And so take us from there.
So, I did the transplant because I was young. I was only 28 at the time. I didn't really know anything about dialysis. So after that, it was immediately I was thrown on dialysis because there was really nothing else that could be done. So that's when my dialysis journey began. And I mean, I would say it was hard because at the time that I started dialysis, I hadn't planned any of that. I thought I was going to get my kidney and go back to my life, but I ended up on dialysis. At the time, my son was 3 and he had just started pre-K 3. So I had put him into school. And then after that, I was away. I was in the hospital for 3 months while he was in the hospital. While I was in the hospital, I put him in school. So my mom and, my sisters helped out with that. My journey with dialysis began, and a journey it was, because I was on dialysis for 10 and a half years. And during that time, it was a struggle. Right after I started dialysis, I had started to have issues with my blood pressure. And I want to say that the reason I found out that my kidneys failed or that I developed kidney disease was because I found out during this time that I was only born with one kidney, something that I had never known. And from what I'm told, it just kind of failed on its own over time. So I didn't have any pre-existing, I had nothing else going on at the time. So that was what they told me. I had one kidney at the time, and then I suffered from migraines. So I used to take a lot of migraine meds, naproxen, Aleve, different things that they said could have put a wear and tear on that one kidney. So at that point, I think I ended up on dialysis, and I had an issue while I was on dialysis with high blood pressure. I ended up in the hospital again, fighting for my life. I went blind and I was temporarily paralyzed. I had a bleed in my brain. And again, I was told it was a 50-50 chance that I would make it or I wouldn't make it. But they said I would have to have a surgery on my brain. I braved it 5 days in ICU, and I walked out of there to continue fighting. And that's what I was doing ever since. I was on dialysis 3 days a week, 3 hours a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wow. Was there ever a time that you wanted to give up?
I'm going to keep it real. There were a lot of times. If you're not on dialysis, you will never begin to understand. The word tired for most people is like, oh, I'm tired. I just got off of work. I worked an 8-hour shift, but tired on dialysis, literally, I used to explain it like, just imagine somebody sucking the life out of you and then throwing it back into you and expecting you to live your life. It's hard. I had a 3-year-old at the time. He's active. I had life. So I got a child. He goes to school. He got field trips. I gotta pretend like I'm okay, but in the inside, I'm dying on the inside. And it's hard because nobody understands how you really feel. If you're not going through it every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We don't get holidays off. You know, like how you work a job, you get your holidays off. We don't get holidays off. We don't get days off. So I definitely wanted to give up.
Yeah, I remember seeing some posts when you was early in school and you was saying how you felt bad in class, but you had to
Yeah.
keep pushing and papers you had to write and you didn't feel like doing it, and times when you were in the hospital. And share about, when did you start school, and was it after you found out or was before, and then the kidney disease kind of deterred that path for a moment?
Well, when I got kidney disease in the beginning, I was in school. And like I said,
Okay.
I was young. So I just couldn't deal with kidney disease, learning about it. Nobody in my family had it. So we know so much about cancer and diabetes, but kidney disease was something new. I dropped out of school. I was going to NSU and I stopped going because I couldn't handle it. So while on dialysis, for a long time, I didn't want to do anything. And I'm going to keep it real because I was just living. You know how, I was just existing. And I just did what I had to do to keep myself going. I had a son and that was all. And it took a few years for me to say, okay, you've been existing for so long. It's like you're doing the same thing every day. Like you're basically just waiting for something to happen. So after a few years, I'm like, okay, I got to do something with my life. I'm literally just, taking my son to school every day, going to dialysis, and I'm not doing anything. And a lot of that was due to depression. I was depressed. So, and I didn't want to do anything because for a lot of people, dialysis is the end of your life. That's all you do. You don't think of anything else. So I said one day, I'm like, okay, my passion is law and I love school. So I said, well, why don't I try to go back to school? But it was a lot of fear because I'm like, I'm on this machine 3 days a week. I got my son. I can't go to school. I'm tired. When I get from dialysis, I want to sleep all day to the next day, sleep that day, and then go back to dialysis. I don't want to do it. So it was a lot of fear. But I had to talk myself out of that fear because it's like, if you don't do something with your life, you're going to let dialysis take over. So one day I said, okay, I'm going to go back to school. And I went and I enrolled. And I was scared. A lot of people didn't think I could do it because they were like, okay, so you go to dialysis from 9 to 2, and then you literally pick your son up from school. How you going to go to school? And the school was 5 hours. So literally I was going to school from 5:30 to 10:30 was going to be my schedule. And it was online and it was like in class. So Fridays and Saturdays were in seat. And then I think it was like Tuesdays and Wednesdays or something like that was online. And it was a stress. It was definitely a struggle, I will say. But when I started, I was extremely sick when I started. And it deterred me a lot because I'm like, I'm gonna be in the hospital. How am I gonna be in the hospital and go to school? But a lot of my professors, they understood. There were days I left dialysis, and if you know anything about dialysis, your blood pressure drops. I had a blood pressure of 80 over 60. And I had to stay over, they won't let you go till you're over 100. Once I'm over 100, I'm running and I'm still dizzy. I can remember one story in particular. I was in math class. I was half there and I was half gone. And I remember the teacher walking over to me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I'm dizzy. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." It's about 5:30. So I think I left dialysis at 3. I had enough time to pick up my son, didn't even have a chance to eat. And if you know anything about being on dialysis, you need to eat. He walked over to me and he said, "You don't look too good." And I really didn't feel well. But I said, I'm okay. So maybe an hour later, he said, "You good, go home." So I didn't go home. I went straight to the hospital because I knew I felt bad. When I got to the hospital, my blood pressure was 79 over, I think, 60. And, they asked me, they said, "Well, how you feel?" I said, like I'm going to fall out. But it's just something that you do, you got to keep going. And that's what I had to deal with, being on dialysis and going to school. I've been in the hospital. That picture you showed, I had just had a procedure done. And I'm like, I got to get my work done. So as soon as that anesthesia wore off, I got to get the work done.
Wow. So, wait a minute. You saying right after anesthesia, you started working on schoolwork?
I took my tablet faithfully. And a lot of, the people at the hospital, they knew me. They're like, girl, you ain't finna do no home. I got to get it done. That was my dedication, because at that point I had started something and I wanted my son to see, even though my mama, he's the only person that see me crying every day saying I want to give up. I'm tired. But also I want you to see that even though your mama is crying and she wants to give up, you see her drive. So that way, while you going to school and you want to give up, you're going to say, well, you know what? My mama was in the hospital. My mama had surgery. My mama was going to dialysis, and my mama still did her work. Even my dialysis friends will tell you, we used to talk all day before I went to school. Then it would be to the point they would keep me on my toes. I try to have conversation. They would say, did you get your work done? So I was in the dialysis chair doing my work. I was keeping busy. I had to do something, because you have to live for something, or you'll waste your life away. So it was hard. Yeah,
unbelievable. I can't even imagine just your thought process after coming out of anesthesia and then trying to develop concepts, and when you're doing your work and writing papers or whatever the case may be. I'm sure that was very, very hard.
It was hard up until, because when I started school, up until when I got the call for my second transplant. I told my professors, I'm like, I told them, what my, health condition was, but I never wanted sympathy. I just wanted them to know, just in case you see me and I ain't in the mood today, I had dialysis, I'm tired, but I'm here. I might not want to participate, but I'm here. So I did that up until I got the call. But before I got the call, you asked about giving up. I'll tell you this story. So before I got to the call, this was 2019, I had decided to stop dialysis. Not a lot of people know, but so this will be the first time I actually share the story.
Wow.
I had made a decision that I was done. My body was definitely worn out. I was tired of getting up every day. At this time, my son is 14. My son he's going to high school. He's 13. And I'm saying to myself, I'm so tired. Like, I can't do anything. I can't travel. I had never traveled in my life. I can't do anything. Like, I'm tied to this machine. And it just got to the point, the machine started to, I'll describe it as, I felt like the machine was killing me, because I was on dialysis and my treatment wasn't working. So my potassium kept going up every treatment, and they made the decision to say, okay, we're going to add another day. Now, this is after me being on dialysis for 10 years, 10 and a half years. And I'm saying, you're going to add another day. It takes me forever to get in my mind to go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I have my weekends to kind of get my thoughts together. You're going to add another day. I can't do it. And I was just getting tired emotionally, physically. I was getting tired. So I said to myself, on the new year, when 2019 came in, I said, okay. And then I had also gotten calls for kidneys that didn't pan out. And I was just tired. I'm like, it's been 10 and a half years. My antibody level is high from the first transplant. I'm not going to never get this kidney. I can't do this anymore. My body is tired. I wrote a will. I wrote instructions on what I wanted to be done with my son. And I said, after I celebrated the holidays in 2019, I was going to stop. And I wasn't going to really tell anybody that I was going to stop, because at the end of the day, I didn't want anybody to talk me out of it. But only when you're tired. Like, I was tired. So I went on, and as the summer hit, I said, okay, I'm getting extremely tired. My heart, I started having heart problems. I started having all type of problems. I kept being hospitalized. I couldn't do anything, hospitalized. I'm trying to go to school, and I'm like, now I'm getting sick. Okay. So I enrolled my son into school. This is the summer of 2019. And I'm saying to myself, it's getting to be time. I'm gonna stop. And I didn't want anybody to feel like I was giving up, because I'm a fighter. But there's a difference between giving up and actually just being tired. Like, my body just felt like I couldn't take it. So I said, okay. I remember waking up this one day, because I had to get my son, registered to his new school. He was going to high school. And it's just amazing how things work. I woke up that morning. I woke up. I said, I'm going to do everything I got to do today, because I'm going to get my stuff together. I'm going to talk to dialysis. I'm going to let them know when I'm going to stop. And then we're going to go forward. So I wake up this particular day, and I'm going, taking care of everything I got to take care of, not knowing why. And it's at this point, I'm exhausted. I get a call from the hospital. They said, we have a kidney. And I've been through this so many times, okay, yeah, you got a kidney for me. You've called me last month and told me you had a kidney for me. And then I get there. It was like a month before that. I got to the hospital. They put me on dialysis. We did all the tests that we have to do, because they test you when you get there. They say, oh, we're going to give you your last dialysis treatment. It was around 11 o'clock at night, and I'll never forget it. The social worker walked in, and she just said, she just shook her head. To me, that was it. That was my confirmation that I am tired. I can't do this anymore. I'm just tired. So that was a month before this happened. So a month later, I'm like, I'm gonna get everything together because I'm serious. I can't do this anymore. My body is tired. My mind was tired. My spirit was broken. So I get a call while I'm at my son's school, registering him for school. And that day I had already wrote out my stuff and, put everything where everything needed to go, made copies of everything. And I said, okay, y'all gotta, they said, well, we'll call you back if it's a match. So me, 10 and a half years being on dialysis, and I've heard this so many times, I wasn't happy. I didn't call anybody. I didn't tell anybody in the beginning, but my friend, I did tell maybe one or two people, but it wasn't like I was enthused, because if you've been through this, when they call you, until you're there and it happens, it's not, real. So a couple hours later, they called me and they said, well, it looks like this kidney is going to be a good one for you. And I'm like, oh, okay, still not excited. I'm like, okay. Then, oh, we got to get to the hospital. When I say this was the longest time I had ever waited in the hospital, I think the kidney was coming from, I want to say they said like North Carolina, which from Virginia, that's nowhere. I literally was in the hospital all night waiting on this kidney. I had to go to school the next morning. So I let my teachers know, I might be in school tomorrow. They may have a kidney for me. I still wasn't enthused. I'm in the hospital. We're waiting. I'm getting a little frustrated. I have two of my friends with me and they're like, just be calm, just be calm. And I want to say I did not find out that kidney was a good kidney until the next night. So I literally had been in the hospital a whole day. I hadn't eaten, I hadn't, drank. And then they came and they said, oh, this kidney is a go. That's when it hit me. Up until that point, I was regular. I had put a little Facebook post letting people know. But at that point, I was like, oh, my God. I had got so scared. I was just like, this is not happening. And it was still so surreal, because after being on dialysis for 10 and a half years and you're thinking you done did your will, I done wrote this long letter to my son and everybody explaining why I was just over it. And now after 10 and a half years, I'm getting my blessing. I still kind of didn't. I'm like, in my mind, I'm still thinking this is not real until they took me away and I woke up with that kidney. It was definitely a blessing for me. I mean, I can't even explain, and then I realized I wasn't giving up. I was just surrendering, So I wasn't giving up. I was surrendering. And at the moment that you surrender, that's when you get your blessing.
Wow.
Yep. And then I woke up and I said, I got to do my work. I was in the middle of finals at school. And, I was going to graduate. I couldn't do no work though. I tried, but I entered into another fight after this transplant. And it was depressing because I couldn't, at this point, I'm in school and I'm doing good. I had complications after this surgery. Couple days after I had this kidney, I ended up having another bout of rejection. And that ended up being another fight. I woke up one day. Once I got out of the hospital, I was fine. When I went back into the hospital, they thought that I had maybe like a little infection, but it ended up being something they couldn't even explain. I couldn't move anything but my mouth. My whole body was like, I couldn't move anything. I couldn't even pick up the phone to call my sister or anybody to tell them to help. So that was another fight. I was in there again. I think I was in there about 2 weeks. And, if anybody, I know everybody don't believe in God, but one thing I will say I do, because they were talking this and that, and we're going to have to do all these different tests. And when I tell you, Steve, I prayed because I was in there. My whole body was hurting. They threw so much at me. Like they had to come in and do everything, feed me. They didn't know what was wrong. And then they said I had like a reaction to one of the transplant meds.
Mm.
Then after I regained, my movement in my, my limbs, I was fine. That's when I went through the antibody rejection. And I had to end up going through plasmapheresis, IVIG, and rituximab. And I did that for about 8 weeks. I did the plasmapheresis and then the IVIG for 8 weeks. And that, to me, it reminded me of dialysis because it was 3 days a week, but that was very hard on my body. But I won't complain because I did have my blessing. And after that, I did 2 sessions of the rituximab, and the antibody level decreased to right before my birthday, actually, 3 years ago. And here we are 3 years later. I still
Wow. And
still
how have your numbers been each
my
month?
numbers have been exceptionally great. They have been good. I do have a instance where sometimes, like, I caught COVID last year. I did catch
Oh my
COVID,
God. Okay.
and that literally took me out of here. But when I say that I have favor, I definitely have favor because I did not have to go in the hospital with COVID. And, my transplant team, they were so scared. I did, have a couple instances where I thought I was going to be checking out of here, but I made it through COVID. The kidney numbers kind of, you know, went up a little bit, but they were, from what the transplant team say, they were actually great compared to some people. So
Wow.
I've been doing
Wow.
good. I've been doing good.
I got one picture I want to show. When was this? Your son
That
was small?
that was my son's 5th grade graduation. And as you can see, I'm a lot darker then. I was on dialysis then.
Wow.
I had just left dialysis. I went in early that day. I can remember that day, and he was graduating. So I think I went in at 6 a.m, left dialysis, and made it to his graduation.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then this picture was after your transplant?
That picture, yes. That picture was, I want to say, last summer. I developed colitis. And I was in
Okay.
school. Yeah, I was in school at the time, and I just started, I recognize a lot of stuff with my body. So when I'm not feeling well, I know something is wrong. And I think I started running a fever. So I was in the hospital that time about 5 days, and they said that I had colitis then because, taking all the medicines that we take, I'm down to maybe 20 pills a day, but we're susceptible to all types of stuff. So I didn't know how I got colitis, but while I was in there, as you can see, I had my little tablet. I said, while I'm in here, I might as well get some work done. And I did.
Right. So now tell us, you graduated with a BSN or master's in criminal justice?
I got my bachelor's. Yes. I graduated November of last year. After I took a year off. I took a year and a half off. I was trying to go back to school after transplant, but my admissions counselor was like, listen, you need to rest. Even when I was going through the rejection, I'm like, I need to get back in school. She's like, I need you to rest. That rest ended up taking me a little longer than I wanted, but I went back, got my bachelor's in November of 2021 in criminal justice. And I'm happy about that because it is a long time coming.
That's
Definitely a long time
awesome.
coming.
That's awesome. Before I forget, I just want to tell everybody a quick break. If you can, I have Miss Anita Harper. She's out of Georgia. She's with the New Beginning Kidney Foundation, and she's been doing a yearly anniversary celebration for 10 years. This is the 10th anniversary coming up in Decatur, Georgia. Now I'm going to this one. I went to one of them back in 2018. I'm going to this one, but this is what we need because, I don't hear any other organization celebrating and honoring, she said, kidney survivors, donors, caregivers, and medical personnel. and that's March 18th, 2023. 4473 Covington Highway, Decatur, Georgia, 30035, and donations are $75. The one I went to was absolutely great. She had recognized me, which I had no idea that that was happening, but I appreciate it, and I just wanted to share this right quick. So, Tamika, what um, what would you suggest if somebody's watching this right now that was in your situation, that's has a son or a daughter that's single, maybe had two kids. In fact, I knew several kidney warriors online that's in this
Yeah.
situation. But what would you like recommend, being a kidney warrior, being what you went through? What would you say to them if they're telling you they struggling and they're tired and they heard, your blessings on your way and they heard all this, but they still going through what they're going through? What would you say to them?
And I have this a lot. I have people that hit me, that inbox me with this, and I say the same thing. There are going to be no 2 days are going to be the same. There are going to be days that you are going to want to give up, but you have to find what it is that you are living for, whether it's your kids, whether it's just your husband, if you don't have a husband, kids, you have to find something that you love and you have to just keep going. You got to keep going. That's my motto. You got to keep going. And
Wow.
that's what kept me, my son. Even and I'm gonna be even when I said I wanted to give up, even when I wrote everything out, I looked at my son and I'm thinking, I've done this so long. What would my son think if I gave up? But I had somebody close to me tell me you wasn't giving up. At that point, you was just surrendering. Like, sometimes you get those times where you like, I can't. I've had people tell me I can't do this anymore. When you think you can't do it anymore, do it again.
Mm.
And do it again. And do it again. Because I can't say it's gonna get easier, but it definitely, the load gets lighter. Dialysis is not easy to deal with, but you have to find your reason to live. If you have kids, the days that you feel like doing something, do it. Get up, get pretty, go to the mall, go to the movies. And I know a lot of times we as men kidney warriors, dialysis, we don't have a lot of energy to do anything. A lot of times I had to push myself to do anything, but I'm glad that I did, because I can't see my life being any other way. I'm glad that I did say, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to hang out with my friends these days, or just to get out, I'm going to go sit at a park and just watch the birds. You got to find something that takes your mind off of the machine, because dialysis
And
doesn't have to be a death sentence unless we make it one.
uh, absolutely. And I truly, and still today, when you were on dialysis, you didn't care. I seen the pictures when you went out and did what you wanted to do.
I did.
You didn't let this disease tie you down. Even on your birthday, driving all the way up to Pentagon City, and me,
Mm-hmm.
you let me share your birthday with you. I was like, wow, driving all, and you was with your, visiting your sister and stuff, but it was just an honor to meet you then, and to see you now. So, hey, Chris. So, look, tell us what's going on now with your work. You got a degree in criminal justice. So, are you working in criminal justice? Share something about that with us.
Yeah, well, after I graduated, it's like, what now? And to be honest, I had not worked. I was on dialysis 10 and a half years. And I want to say I had not worked in 12, maybe 13 years. I had not had a job,
Wow.
because and there are warriors out there who can keep, and I applaud the ones that can work. I was just not one of them. Mentally and physically, I just couldn't do it. So after I graduated, I was very nervous about getting back into the work scene. I hadn't had a job since I was 27, and I'm now 42. So it was scary. And my advisor at school, my career advisor is like, well, apply for this job. And In my mind, I'm thinking I am not qualified to work at this job. I have my degree, but I have not worked in over 13 years. But what's for you is going to be for you. So I applied and I got hired. So I work now at I work at the juvenile courthouse, juvenile domestic and relations court. And like I said, I hadn't worked in a long time.
That's awesome.
And I thought that I wasn't going to get this job. I'm like, they're not going to hire me. I don't have nothing on my resume. But again, like I said, if it's for you, it's for you. And I've been there now, I want to say 7 months. It's been 7 months and it's going great.
It's going wonderful. Man, like I said, I get goosebumps hearing this because, not working, what you said, 12 years.
12 years.
You graduated and you got a new kidney. Like you said, now what? What's next? And then here we come with work right in your profession. Yeah. And it's nothing, nothing but up from here. Yeah, I mean,
it's definitely up. It's definitely, I've been down so long, so I know up is the way to, and I will say this, Steve, I told you I had never been on a plane now, ever. And it was a personal choice for me because being on dialysis for me, I don't want to go anywhere on the weekend. And then I had anxiety about being at another dialysis clinic. So to me, going on a trip was just not something that I
out of the question. Do. Right.
So in May, I took my first trip. And not only did I take my first trip, it was out of the country. I went to Jamaica.
I seen that.
Yes, I did. And I got on a plane for the first time. I was terrified, but it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Tanisha, what's up, Tanisha? Say happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Tanisha.
Yeah, I seen those pictures. So you went by yourself to Jamaica?
Well, I met up with one of my, the girl that I went with is my friend, but she used to be my dialysis nurse. Wow. I met her while I was on dialysis and we became friends. So I met up with her and we actually went and I had a ball.
Did you do how Stella got her groove back?
It was definitely how Stella got her groove back. It was just so amazing to me. Yeah, because I received so much love from people that know what I've been through. It wasn't just a trip for me. It was like, this is my life. Like, this is something I've never done. Like, this is what living is. People take things for granted. People can get on planes all day long and it's nothing to them to go here and there. But for me, that was life. I'd never been on a plane. I'd never been anywhere, so it was beautiful. I enjoyed all 5 days. I did.
No, absolutely. And you're right. And unfortunately for a lot of people who are on dialysis, if they want to travel, say they used to travel, and they wanted to travel out of the country.
Yeah.
Medicare doesn't pay for dialysis out of the country. Yeah. So, you're almost like you got to kind of work your way around how I'm going to do this. And if you do that, you may have to do several treatments in a row and then leave and come back. And it's a lot. And so, yes, absolutely. And that's why home dialysis is so crucial. Not everybody can do home dialysis, but that's why if one used to travel and now this unfortunately happens, then the consideration or the option of home dialysis is definitely there so they can continue what they were doing before dialysis. Now, let me ask you, when you were going, did you get a lot of education about what to look out for, how to prevent infection and stuff like that from the dialysis clinic, and about different treatment options?
I'm gonna be real. I learned a lot more from people that I met that were on dialysis than I did from actually starting. To me, I felt like when I was put on the machine, I was not given, this is what you're going to do. This is the time you're going to go. And, this is what it is. But and a lot I learned from you, Steve. I mean, I'm thankful that I met you because, I meet a lot of people now that know nothing. They don't know about their speed. They don't know about, when they're cramping, they don't know. And I learned a lot of that stuff from people that I met that were nurses, or some of my techs that were there actually, taught me. So I didn't I didn't get any education like starting, but
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot from a lot of the people who took care of me, per se.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Chris, you can, but you're going to have to pay out of pocket. And it's a lot of stuff, going back and forth, making sure your dialysis clinic send the necessary required paperwork and lab work and the doctor's orders. And sometimes you have to get on the social worker because she has to get this information from the nurse. And they don't fill out your paperwork in time. Sometimes you can just say, kiss that trip goodbye, because they won't take you. You can't just show up at a clinic and they don't know you coming. Not unless you got a lot of money. You throw like a stack of money on the thing and say, hey, I want to do treatment. But how many people can go somewhere and put down 15, 20,000 right here and say, treat me now,
Yeah.
So let me ask, what's the future for you?
Hopefully I want this kidney to outlast me. Now that I have this kidney, I do try to raise awareness, but I want to say this. I want people to know that transplant is not a cure. I meet people and they say, "Oh, you got a transplant, you cured." I'm not cured. I'm living better, but I am not cured. I have a better way of life, but for some people don't look at transplant as a better way of life. Because it all depends on how it goes after transplant. But I want people to realize that kidney disease doesn't just get cured. There's no cure. Transplant definitely will give you a better way of life if that's the way that you want to go, but it's no cure. But, hopefully with this transplant, I want to encourage and I want to educate. That's my main goal in life. Because there's so many people that are going through this and they're not educated. That's why I appreciate you, Steve, because you have definitely been a huge educator for kidney disease, dialysis, for it all.
Yeah, like we were sharing before the show, like I said, I've been doing this 37 years, and I can't tell you just the things I've seen in dialysis with these companies. I mean, awful things. I mean, that people wouldn't believe. I've seen a clinic in East Baltimore when they went through renovations. They tore up the treatment floor. Now, you know how you got linoleum on the treatment floor, regular flooring. Now, can you imagine coming into your dialysis clinic? The treatment floor is concrete slab.
That's ridiculous.
And now you got the concrete dust in the air. You got plywood here, plywood there, and they still treating patients in this environment. It's like, what's the reason for even wearing a mask when you change the dressing when you have concrete dust?
That's ridiculous.
And I had taken pictures of all this, and the thing about it, at the time I had a BlackBerry phone that I couldn't even retrieve the pictures off of. Must didn't want me to show it, but you're talking about conditions like that.
Yeah. And people are going in there to get their lives, saved, and you have them in these unsafe, uninhabitable conditions.
Exactly. Back in the water room, mold. Have mold in the air. And they still dialyzing patients. So when I started seeing this from the Vita and these big clinics, how they, you be in one particular area and you see a clinic like, damn, this is the same company. I'm in this area and this clinic all messed up. Then I'm out in the suburbs and the county working, and they got everything and supplies and everything is all golden.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So I know your son has been. I just want to talk a little bit about him. What's your son's name again? I'm sorry.
Jaden.
I mean, your son has been a serious warrior. He actually came on when you was on the first time and shared some stuff about how he's dealing with this and stuff. He was a little younger.
He was.
But what would you want him to know after you going through all this and seeing them, you know, because some people say no child should have to go through this, you know,
Yeah.
because, you know, the average or normal child got two parents going here,
Yeah.
going there,
Yeah.
they doing this and that. But for him to have a mom, single mom that's dealing with kidney disease, and he's there with you in the hospital, laying
Mhm.
beside you, he's there every moment and going through the exact thing you're going through, but he's just not going through the disease process, but the
Yeah.
emotional aspect. And now to see him, he's wrestling, he's a handsome guy, 18, 17 years old,
Mhm.
high school, about to graduate. What would you, I mean, and I'm sure once he graduate, you got, I mean, you're going to just be overwhelmed and all that. But
Mhm.
like right now, what would you like to share with him of what he's been through this journey with you, and how proud of you are, how proud of you, of him are you, going through what he went through and not being a victim to the streets? And we all hear, you know, black young kids being murdered by the police, getting involved in that, the whole stigma
Mhm.
behind all that. But to see your son flourish, wrestling, could possibly get a scholarship of because of him participating in sports and then going through what he went through. How proud are you of him?
I'm gonna say I am extremely, extremely proud of my son. When I started this journey, my son was 3. My son did not understand why mom couldn't come to certain things, why she missed certain things, or why she just didn't feel like being bothered, certain times, or why she was in the hospital. So when I started, he was 3. Now he's 17. And when I say he has been such a rock in my life, because times as he's grown up and he's seen this, it was only us. It was just us. So it would be like, Mom, you tired? He recognized a lot of things in me. And now that he's older, even now with me having the transplant, he definitely is still on me. Mom, you can't do this, you can't do that. So my son had to grow up a little before his time, and a lot of times I would say it's not fair. He shouldn't have to deal with the mother that is sick. This is not his fault, and it's not my fault, but he shouldn't. But he's been an amazing individual. He grew up. He's been right there. Even when I had the transplant, he was in Baltimore with my sister. He came back and they admitted me. My son was right there with me. He's always been right there with me. So I just want him to know that I appreciate him he's my rock. He's the reason that I did not give up. And I'm so proud of him for stepping up and being the young man that I have seen him to be. Because it's not easy dealing with a parent that's sick, and you got to deal with your parent. Every time you turn around, they're in the hospital. When they home, they sick. And when they ain't sick, they sick, and they always sick. But he always say, Mom, I just want you to keep going. I love you and I just want you to keep going. And for that kept me going. I had that push from him. He gave me that push. And now he's almost a grown man, and he's like, he's still there. If I'm sick, he's right there. So I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud of him because I didn't go through this by myself. I
Right,
went
I
through
got
we
chills
went
right
through
now just hearing you
yeah.
talk about him. I'm
I didn't
proud
go
of
through
him.
this. I'm so proud of him because I didn't go through this by my, and it's a lot of times that I cry. I went through, I'm like, this is not fair. And a lot of times be wanting to give up. And I actually said something to him one time when he was younger. I said, this is not fair. You should not have a mother, and I'm a single parent. So you shouldn't have him. And he's like, Mom, I love you. I don't care. It's not your fault. I'm going to do what I have to do, if I have to. And I would think about like, what if I get sick, and I'm older and he's like, Mom, don't think about that. So it's a lot of
Mm-mm.
guilt that you go through as a parent, as a mother. But when I say that child there, he's a special type of child. And
That's
and and,
awesome.
and I thank the Lord for him.
Yeah, I want to reach out to you because I would love to bring him on the show and just have a show addressing children or and I know a lot of teenagers these nowadays are out doing other things, but it would be great to
Yeah.
do a show hearing from a young person's
Yeah.
perspective on how they dealt with a parent with kidney disease. I mean, that would be a show that
Yeah, that
a
would be
lot of
awesome.
people should be able to watch, and
Yeah.
with their teenagers that are going through this, so they can know how to cope and deal with a parent dealing with kidney failure.
Yeah. Because I imagine he's never said it, but I can only imagine it's hard for a child as well. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely, absolutely.
your mother is here, there, and then sometimes she can't make it to this game or to this. I remember a time I will never forget. He was having a Mother's Day luncheon, and I was at dialysis, and I couldn't go, and I cried and cried and cried. But I got off early, and he's like, "No, my mom." He was young. My mom, she can't make it. But I walked up in there, and his face lit up. But then there are times when I couldn't make it. And I know that it affected
Wow.
him, even though he might have said it didn't. It did, but we made it through.
Wow, that is awesome. That's awesome. So as we come down to the end of the show, anybody you want to send a shout out to, your support team? And I know you probably had a great support system to help you with your son when he was in the hospital, and your sisters. Um, Anybody you want to give a shout out to while we had this moment?
Definitely my sisters, my mom, my friends, and the people that have been there for me. They know who they are. I don't have to call them out one by one, but everybody that has definitely been there for me. I mean, even now, even with the transplant is still, it's still days that I struggle, but it's good to have a support team. But to my number one, my son, I want to thank my son. I love him dearly. My son is an amazing individual. He has kept me going, and he continues to keep me going, and I love him to life, and I'm so proud of him. And I just hope that if he takes nothing else from my story, that he knows that he can look at me and say, you know what, my mama didn't give up. So I'm gonna definitely make the sky the limit. I can do anything. And I tell him all the time, anything is possible. So I just want to tell my son I love him so much, and I thank him
That's
so much.
awesome. Look, any future trips coming up, like to another
Most definitely.
country, since you started traveling? Now you got that travel bug in you.
I do. I got it now. I got a couple of. We're going on a cruise. My son wants to do a cruise for his graduation,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
yeah, he's graduating in June. He said he wanted to do a cruise, so he's starting. I want him to go. He has never been on a plane either. I didn't go on one till I was 41, so I definitely want him to have that experience with me as well. And then a little later on, Dubai, it's a grown-up trip. But yes, I
Right, right.
definitely I have a lot of things that I want to do that I never got to do, and I just pray that this kidney just lasts long after, lasts a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And like again, I'm so proud of you. So happy, you know, this is happening for you. And I mean, I wish that this can happen for a lot of people.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, there's not enough donors to
there's
make
not.
this possible.
There's
So if
not.
you're out there thinking about donating a kidney, um, please follow through with that.
I would say don't hesitate. A lot of, and I want to say this, a lot of us, and I want to say African Americans, we're not educated enough on organ donation. We're scared. We don't know. We're going to die. We don't, but get educated. You can donate a kidney and live a full life. You don't know who you could save out here. We need to get educated.
Tamika, what would you say to Shanette Harrison? Thank you for joining the live. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and Facebook page, and also TikTok. But what would you say to someone like Shanette Harris? She just started dialysis in June, and you've been through it for 14 years. What would you say to someone like her?
Shanette, I would say you're going to have your good days and you're going to have your bad days. But on your bad days, rest. Don't push yourself. On your good days, make sure that they are good days. Go out and do something. Stay active. But when you can't, don't. If you have a bad day, don't feel bad because you can't do this or you can't do that. Like if you can only wash the clothes that day and you can't dry them, that's fine. As long as you have done something in that day. just make sure that you stay active, but don't push yourself. And when you have a bad day, just relax. But it gets better. It gets better, and it gets easier. It does get easier. You have to take
Absolutely.
it one day at a time, and if that's too hard, just take it 1 minute at a time. But it gets easier.
Mm, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Well, Tamika, I mean, we done got a lot of comments, a lot of people thanking you for sharing your story of inspiration. They've been inspired. Um, I mean, could anybody, if they wanted to reach out to you, like through Facebook, can they do that just to get perspective if they're going through something and see what you have to say about
Sure.
it, if they wanted to share it
Sure.
with you?
Sure, I do my own, mentoring, because I have a lot of people that hit me up daily. I don't know these people, but one thing I always say, feel free to hit me up if you have any questions, if you just want advice. Right now I'm working on a 30-day like a inspirational for dialysis patients, a 30-day book.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. So
When you finish that, make sure you come back on and we're going to
I sure
promote
will.
that book.
I
You
sure
know what I'm
will.
saying? I want to promote it. I'm not going to like, nah. Absolutely, I'm going to
I
promote
sure
that.
will.
So when you finish, make sure you hit me up so we can get that out there.
I definitely, when I came up with that, because sometimes, I know what I was going through. Sometimes you can look at, every day I want to put something different in this devotional book, and then I want them to write down. So I came up with that idea because I do meet a lot of people daily from Facebook who'll hit me up, and they're, or TikTok, or however they hit me up, and they're going through kidney disease and they just don't know where to start. So if anybody, has any questions or just want to hit me up, or befriend me, my Facebook is my name, Tamika Smallwood, Tamika, Smallwood, Smallwood. You can always reach out or send me a friend request. Any questions or any advice, or if you just want encouragement, I'm here for that too. And day or night.
Yeah, Tanisha says, you go, girl. Devotional is needed. Sage Williams
Definitely.
said, you are a shining star.
Thank you.
Margaret. Hey, Margaret, shout out to Margaret. She's a big supporter of me. I love her
Hey,
so. Thank you
Margaret.
so much.
Mhm.
Um, and then Shanette Harris thanked you as well.
Yes, Shanette, definitely look me up on Facebook and send me a friend request. We can chat.
Yeah, that's awesome. I thank you, Tamika. And again, I thank you for taking the time out. I know you got to work tomorrow and, get yourself ready. But thank you for coming on and sharing your story of hope and inspiration, your struggles and your challenges, because, I mean, you kept it real. You wasn't, fake about anything. It came across very genuine. And this is just the reality of transplant.
Yeah.
Some people, go through it without any problems. And then, you don't hear about the stories like yours or other people who something happened along the way or
Mhm.
whatever. And, it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on. And I look forward to seeing your videos. I always like the videos you put out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially on TikTok and sharing your life with us. So God bless you and continue to stay blessed and encouraged. And I'll definitely be in touch with you. Okay.
Definitely. And thank you, Steve. We don't have too many advocates out here for us. So I want to say I thank you 1,000 times for being that advocate. Like, if I could thank you in a million different languages, I will. But thank you so much,
Thank you.
because you've definitely been raising awareness in a way that nobody else has. So thank you very much for
Oh,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Tamika. And I'll talk to you soon. God
Okay.
bless you. Take care.
You too. All right.
All right, babe. Bye bye. Yeah, guys. I'm gonna get ready to shut it down, but I wanted to put up a comment that Tanisha put up that is so true. Because I worked in Texas, so I know about these clinics. But she said my center was in the suburbs. They actually gave massages to legs once a month. I mean, who wouldn't want that at their dialysis clinic? Having a leg massage once a month. All right. Had a session in another clinic, New Orleans, and they were packed like sardines. Absolutely. Probably could have been in 3rd Ward or something like that. Who knows? But let me tell you, in a lot of these clinics that a lot of people don't understand, you got clinics, I've seen them in Houston, that has heated chairs and fountain in the lobby and all these amenities to attract you to their unit. But those clinics are looking for patients. The first priority is somebody that's either private pay or private insurance. Those are first priorities in those type of clinics because they ain't going to make no money just from Medicare recipients. And normally the setup is like this. When you're doing the ratio to think about when you're putting a clinic together and you're trying to figure out your patients and census, this is what they go by, the standard benchmark. 80% Medicare, 20% private pay or private insurance. So a lot of, see these clinics, 80%, probably a little more of the patients in there are Medicare, Medicaid. Then you got 20% or maybe a little lower that has private insurance like Blue Cross or United Health or Aetna. In fact, you can look up, Aetna United Health had to sue DaVita because they charging like 5 to 10 times more, especially when they came up with the Obamacare. And DaVita had switched and had these financial reps to go to patients who are on Medicare and switch over to Obamacare to get United Health or Aetna. And so they could charge them like 10 times more than they were getting paid for Medicare. It's a racket. Yeah, see, she validated it. And we haven't even talked in a long time offline. I didn't even know Tanisha was coming on. And she just mentioned it. Yes, all private insurance only where I was surfaced. That tells you right there. Why is it only private? I mean, I know why it's only private patients, so they can hit you where it hurts. But when you think about it, why not treat all patients the same? Why not? And this is why I do what I do, because everybody should be treated the same across the board, whether you're Black, whether you're white, whether you're rich, or whether you're poor. It should not. And that's what's so appalling when you see some places like New Orleans that is inhuman, or places just like the young lady on TikTok. So let me share this, and then I got to go. I got a 9:30 TikTok live to talk about peritoneal. But it's a kidney warrior on TikTok. She got lured from a DaVita, Fresenius or DaVita. She got lured away because somebody who did transportation told her, oh, we getting a new unit together. She transferred or whatever to this new unit, CCD, whatever. Come to find out, the person who was passing medication wasn't even a nurse. It was the secretary. And come to find out, the secretary was giving patients Benadryl to knock them out. This person has sleep apnea. They could have overdosed her and she could have not woken up. It's ridiculous. So you got to watch out. If you see a new company that's starting off, look at their track record. See how much money they got. Because, listen, if you out here watching and you see all these dialysis clinics and dialysis patients, you're like, oh, that's a good business to get into. It's a money maker. Yeah, but it's already locked down by the big boys. DaVita, Fresenius, US Reno, this one, that one. And when they buy supplies, they go into this they buy in bulk with this purchasing group. So you just can't, you ain't got the money like that. You just can't come in dials. You got to hire trained people. It's a lot. It's a lot. So don't think you can just get in and make money, and then at the end of the day, you get shut down by the state and you don't find people a place to go. Now they got to end up in the emergency room. And some patients, if they don't have a clinic or can't find anything, they go to ER, the quality of life goes down tremendously. Now, next thing you know, patient may end up passing away, victim of circumstance. I call it bloody murder. So, all right, guys. Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate you. You just don't know how much I appreciate your support and a lot of other support that I get. So, if this person who Jeanette just started dialysis in June, I highly recommend picking up my book, How to Survive Outpatient Hemodialysis, a guide for patients with kidney failure. Because you're so new to the game, this book may be a saving grace for you. I'm not saying it will, but it may be. All right. And to, educate you on what you're not receiving from your dialysis facility, on the different treatment options, about your access, about making wise food choices. Well, you already know about your first day of outpatient. But just a lot of great information. Like I said, I'm working on the second book that goes deeper than this, the dialysis patient handbook information. Like all the information, the lives you see me do, is going to be packed in the book. So you could be at dialysis and flip through and you see something on infection control about washing your hands. You go to the section when a lot of clinics want their staff to, when they enter the treatment, how many of you be sitting in the chair, right? You sitting in the chair. Next thing you know, you see the tech. I'm going to lunch. I'm going on break. And they'll do nothing but take off the gloves and walk off the floor. They come back. You see them coming back on the floor. They don't go to the sink, wash their hands or nothing. So you're supposed to wash your hands before you enter the treatment floor, when you're leaving, after you finish, you touch a machine, when you be involved in needle cannulation. You should be washing your hands a lot of times to reduce the spread of infection. So with that being said, you're welcome, Sandra. And yes, you can order from Steve the Kidney Nurse. And when you do, and I see your name, just say if you want me to sign it for you. I'll be more than happy to sign the book for you. But please stay blessed and encouraged. Continue to watch me for. In fact, if you on TikTok, I'm about to do some information on education on peritoneal dialysis. All right, about a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. Talk about the different cuffs. You may not have seen that. A lot of people don't get this information. Like, you could be interested in peritoneal because it's home dialysis, and no one actually shared with you, like, what's the process involved? How did it look like? The bags and stuff like that. Well, I'm going to be talking about that tonight in about 15 or 20 minutes on TikTok Live on Steve the Kidney Nurse. You're welcome, Sandra. Oh, yeah. See, hold on about that. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I want to come back. I want to come back around maybe tomorrow evening and talk about cramping on TikTok. Here we go. Cramping on dialysis. And so basically what cramping happening because of the shift of fluid, they're pulling off a lot of fluid at one time. That's why they say control your fluid between treatment. Only gain between 1 and 3 liters between treatment. When you start trying to pull off more than that in 3 hours and stuff like that, then you're going to cramp. And you definitely got to find out what your dry weight is if you've been eating. Because if you eat, and you've been eating 3 squares a day, then your dry weight is going to increase. A dry weight is variable. The dry weight doesn't stay the same. I mean, based on like if you go in the hospital, right? Say if you're 50.5, if they do it in kilograms, and you're 50.5, you go in the hospital, you're not likely going to eat. And so we all, we kind of lose weight when we're in the hospital. So you're going to be below 54.5. But let's say if you eating, you got an appetite, you gain weight, then your dry weight is going to increase. So the doctor doesn't come in and make rounds. They're going to go by the doctor's order, especially as someone who don't know you. And they say if your dry weight is 50 and you probably 51.5 and you come in at 53.5 and they're trying to get you down to 50 and you gain weight, you're going to get sick and you're going to cramp because they're taking off more than necessary. So that's really the bottom line on that. So I see you guys in about 20 minutes on TikTok. Thank you for watching. Margaret, Sandra, Shanette, Sage, let me see about Tanisha, Doreen, it was somebody else, Miss Anita, Belinda, Michelle, Alisa, Chris. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support. Continue to watch Steve, the Kidney Nurse, for your kidney disease awareness, information, and education. Yeah, they got the nurse practitioner coming in. And the doctor, he may come in once a month or something, but it's not like he seeing you like they used to. Now they got nurse practitioners, well, I ain't going to say dirty work, but they got the nurse practitioners to do mostly all the work. So thank you, guys. I see you on the other side on TikTok in a little bit, and we'll go from there. God bless you. Have a safe day tomorrow. If you go to dialysis tomorrow, have a safe treatment. And I sincerely mean that. And watch what they're doing. See how much fluid they're taking off. Make sure they set the blood flow rate correct. Just be mindful of what they're doing at treatment. All right. God bless you. Stay blessed and encouraged. And I'll see you guys on the other side at TikTok. All right. I'm out.
Warriors around, don't get caught in the mosh pit. Fuel to the fire, ain't nobody can stop it. Trouble in my city, but you know I'm across it. Got a 40 on my hip and I'm liable to spark it. Throw down these hits, my click is indivisible. I aim, you duck, I squeeze, now you invisible. I'm not afraid of getting physical. All these different chemicals are fogging up my visuals. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we notorious, we ain't no runners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we some warriors, they ain't called gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Put on my sweat, put on the beat, put on the map, put on my team. Take out every motherfucker in between. Know what I mean? Better myself, better my aim, better my rap, better my name. Killing rappers on my hang on, but they chase for the fame. Never thought I would, and now I'm running. You don't wanna follow me, now I'm fucking running.